Hello, everybody. This is Daniel Krozik. I am the head of the broadcast sales for Cablecast for Tightrope, and we're talking today about our Cablecast Reflect service, something that we launched that allows you to have an unlimited number of viewers for your live streams and for your video on demand, and for which we really wanted to be cost sensitive. We are going to start the actual screen sharing and demonstration in just a little bit. Ray Tiley, the developer who built this, is actually going to be the one presenting, so the most knowledgeable person will be the one talking to you. But I, as the less knowledgeable person, the sales guy, you will talk to if you have any questions about price or getting an order or who you would order through. I thought I would go first and give you the pricing up front so that people don't have to wonder the whole time what it costs, and then, you know, Ray, get that question later. So before we came out with this service, we used to have a live streaming and video on demand platform that only worked on your local bandwidth, and a lot of folks asked to have a way to use external bandwidth as an option. You still can, of course, run it off your local bandwidth if you have plenty of local bandwidth. And the other companies in this space who offer video broadcast servers had previously implemented these systems. There's two other companies doing this, and their costs for live and video on demand range from $3,000 to $6,000 a year, depending on the number of streams and the options, and if you're doing both. And we wanted to come out with something that offered a truly unlimited amount of viewers, more than the others who offer just a set amount of storage or a set amount of viewers, but came in at something, you know, much more affordable, maybe even half the cost or a third the cost, just depending on the configuration and what they're paying with the other systems. So our costs for Cablecast Reflect for both live streaming and video on demand, and that's as many live streams as you choose to wish. So even our customers that have, say, 5 channels and they buy hardware to stream all 5, pay the same cost, which is $2,200 for the year. It's an annual cost for unlimited number of viewers in the year. And then if you didn't want to do both live and video on demand, you wanted to do only one, only live streaming of your channels or only video on demand, then it's $1,200 for the year. So essentially it's $2,200 for both, $1,200 for one. It's $100 a month for one, or under $200 a month for the two. And the reason we can have a much less expensive system cost for this than some of our competitors in the space is because we've developed this in a way that, you know, economically uses the resources. It doesn't pay for online storage for stuff that isn't watched for a very, very long time. It repeats stuff after it's been watched and holds as long as it's needed. And Ray's going to get into all of that. But I just wanted to address the cost right up front so that, you know, A, if it's way outside what your station can afford, you know that right away. And B, if that's the question you're going to ask. No, you already have the answer. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to contact me, Daniel, over any sort of sales or pricing questions. My number is 617-245-1744. And now I'll turn it over to Ray.
So hi, everyone. My name is Ray Tiley. Like Daniel said, I'm one of the developers on the Cablecast team at Tightrope Media Systems. And here to kind of show you today what Cablecast Reflect is and how it works. And I'm going to jump into it by starting with just how our VOD and live streaming work and how you use them in the Cablecast interface. Then we'll kind of move on into why Reflect is a little bit different, and then I'll show you some customers that are using Reflect. So, so what is the web story for Cablecast? We offer both video on demand servers and live streaming servers, and they are compatible with your desktop and your mobile devices, including iOS and Android. So you can buy our products, and it doesn't matter who you're delivering to, they should be able to watch your content, and we can transcode and share with you anything that you put on the Tightrope video servers. So it's not a lot of process to get your content ready for video on demand. Literally, it's just you click a checkbox and it's all prepared for you in the background. So VOD, like I said before, they're universally compatible files that work both on your computer and your mobile devices. So let's jump into the software real quick and see how you would do a video on demand, how you would manage that process in Cablecast. So I'm showing today the new Cablecast 6.0 user interface, but the process is the same in our current software, and so you could have this functionality today, and you will, this 6.0 release will be coming out in the next month or so, so everyone will have this soon. So here we are on the main menu, and if I go into a show record, so say I go into, let's see, show ID 14, so I can see down here at the bottom, this VOD is enabled, and I have a transcode quality. I'm using the default right now. But the process, if this was a brand new show or a show that I haven't enabled for VOD, it would look like this. And then I can instantly just go click it, and it's going to start preparing it in the background. Once the video on demand is ready, I can watch it from the UI just like this. Just hit the watch button. I can load that up and watch a video on demand right there. I can also grab a direct link to the file. So if I want to send someone the link to the file so that they can download it, I can grab that right there. Or I can use the embed button to get an embed code that I can copy. And this I can paste into my own website, you know, like a Drupal site or anything like that, WordPress, and I can just embed just like that. And so how does this look like? How can you monitor the VOD process? So if I go into the video on demand section, I can see I instantly jump to a list of all the completed VODs, and I can search for these. So say I want to find my rap video, I can do that search. It's going to find my rap video, and right here I can watch it. Say I replace the file or something like that, or I decide I want to do it in a higher quality, I can just hit the retranscode button, and that will re-prepare the VOD from the source files. So this is definitely useful if you're, you know, uploading a monthly show, reusing show IDs. You can very easily from the UI, like tell it to kick off a new VOD. From here, I can get the same embed codes and links. I can also see a log of like the process of how this VOD went through the system. So I also have tabs for in progress and failed VODs. So I can see, like I have a few transcode failed here. If I wanted to retry it, I can just go down to the bottom and hit the retry button. I don't currently have any in progress VODs. Let me see if I can find a file that doesn't have a video on demand, and we can kind of watch that go through the process real quick. So let's see. So here we have a show record that hasn't been video on demanded yet. So if I go ahead and click that, then I can choose a quality. I'm just going to use default. So it saved my show, and now if I go into the video on demand section, I can see that that VOD is probably in the waiting tab right now. Maybe not. Maybe it's already in the in progress tab. So I can see that it's preparing source files queued. And so the VOD is going to go through 3 states. It's going to prepare the source files if it has to on the video server itself. Then next, it's going to transfer it to your video on demand server, which can be a Cablecast VOD or a Cablecast Pro VOD server. And then finally, it's going to transcode the video into H.264 that is universally compatible for iPhones, desktop, iOS, Android, all that stuff. And then you can watch it go through all these steps with progress bars and everything. And so it's really clear to see like where your VODs are in the pipeline in Cablecast. And then again, once it's gone all the way through the process, you can go into this completed tab to instantly like watch, preview things, grab embed codes, stuff like that. And then how does this look on the public-facing side? Well, Cablecast comes with a built-in public site. This is the new one that will be shipping with 6.0. You can see it's all very VOD-centric. You know, lists of thumbnails with show titles, stuff like that. But if I click on any show record, it will load the thumbnail, go straight to the VOD, and I can watch it right on my public site. And we'll get into in a few minutes how this would look if you were using our API or other options of integrating the video on demand content with your website. So next let's talk about streaming. Streaming in Cablecast isn't actually true streaming. We're using HTTP live streaming, which is an Apple technology. This is the only live video delivery technique that is compatible with iOS, Android, and desktop browsers at the moment, without doing a lot of extra work to have different types of streams and stuff like that. So we create one HLS stream for you, and we use what's called adaptive bitrate streaming. So we actually, depending on your input video, so whether you have HD or SD input, we can work with both. We will create multiple different qualities. So you can see here that the master stream is then broken down into a low, mid, and high. And that's similar to what we would do on our system. And so that allows you to say someone's on a cellular connection and then they move into a Wi-Fi on their cell phone. The phone or desktop computer, whatever is viewing the stream, can instantly switch from the low to the high, or from the high back to the low, depending on the user's bandwidth. And so this all works straight out of the box and doesn't require any additional configuration. So the live streaming is pretty simple in Cablecast. You really only get one option on a per show basis. You notice when I was in the show record, down at the bottom close to where the VOD enabled is this live IP exempt. And basically what will happen is live IP exempt means that we will turn off the stream for you if the show is live IP exempt and is airing on your channel. And why that's useful is you might not have the rights to live stream all the content that you air on your channels. And with other systems, this can be kind of confusing because there's really no great way to turn off the stream for specific programs. That's really easy in Cablecast. And then what happens when you turn off the live stream during a program, you actually, in your configuration for your live stream, so here's our Tidy TV live stream, you get templates that you can fill out. So here, right here is the IP pause template. This template will get displayed to the user when a live IP exempt show is on air. And you can see we can use these tokens. I can increase the size of this a bit. We can use these tokens to replace it. So if the stream was paused, the user would see, this program, like, I'm not allowed to air this program. It's not available for online viewing. Please tune in at, and it'll tell you the next time the program starts and what the next program title is. And this is all customizable. Also, if you want to stop your stream, like say you're getting new internet installed or something like that, you have a stop template. And this is if the user manually stopped the stream. And then the embed template is, again, customizable. Usually wouldn't play with these templates too much, but they are there for you to configure both for video on demand and live streaming. And then in the user interface for controlling the live stream, you get a page like this for all of your live streams. And so you can see we have the watch. Again, we have the embed code is really easy to grab. So if you want to put it in your WordPress site, that's really easy. And we also have a log of when the stream was started and stopped. And you can see that if the system started and stopped it, like say you lost power or something, versus a user logged into the system started or stopped the stream. And what does this look like for the end user? Again, on the new public site, we have a nice green watch button if you have a live stream configured for this channel. And next to the player, we'll show you like what's coming up and what's currently airing. And then the live stream takes a second or so to buffer up. But then here it is playing. You notice that it's showing currently the Cablecast channel branding at the bottom. But we can take in HD video, we can deliver an HD live stream, and we can also deliver lower qualities for people on phones and poorer internet. So that goes over how live streaming works in the user interface and how people would view it. And so how does this work with the cloud? Like Daniel explained earlier, Cablecast's model, Tightrope's model, is we want you to be able to buy your equipment, own it, and not have to pay us a monthly fee. And so our products have always been you can serve it with your own bandwidth, and this is great. Lots of customers are tied into city, college. They have really good access, or Google Fiber is coming to their town, and they can afford to serve all the content from their facility. And this is really a nice model because there's no recurring costs. So the money will come out of your capital budget, and you don't have to use your precious operational dollars to pay for your streaming. And so the traditional cloud model, if you do need to use the cloud, because you might have to, is kind of expensive. And this is because the traditional model shown here, you can notice that the arrow is pointing from the streaming box, in this case a Cablecast Live, towards the cloud. The video on demand and streaming servers have to push all their content at the cloud 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and all your video on demand content has to be stored on the cloud to be accessible for your viewers. And this means lots of times you might be streaming and no one's watching, and you're paying for that. You might be storing lots of files on the cloud that no one's watching. Again, you're paying for that. And the worst thing, in my opinion, is that you have to limit your library, because many of these services will only give you, 50 gigs or 500 hours. And at my station, at least, where we do use Reflect and Cablecast VOD, we have over 8,000 shows available for video on demand, and that library keeps growing. And we've looked at some of the data via Google Analytics, and most of these shows don't get watched. But occasionally, someone watches a show from 3 years ago, 4 years ago, when we installed our server, and if that content wasn't available to our viewers, we would see that as a big loss. And so how does Reflect try to solve this problem? So in Reflect, you can see we've flipped the arrow around. And what happens here is the user, tries to access some content via Cablecast Reflect. And if that content doesn't exist yet in the cloud, Reflect goes to your server and starts pulling it. So whether that be a VOD file or a live stream. And once it's pulled it, the instant it starts getting any bytes of data, if another user comes along and asks for that same data, it will get it from the Reflect cloud. And then Reflect will actually hold on to the data, and we analyze the logs for each individual station to see what's the best time to cache content for that station. And so for some stations, it might be 24 hours. For some stations, it might be 3 days. But basically, we keep the content as long as people are watching it up in the cloud. And so one person watches something, and then everyone who's watching it gets that version from the cloud. We only have to go to your server once to get that content, which greatly reduces the amount of bandwidth required. Same thing for live streaming. As those little segments of HTTP live streaming are created, one person gets it, and then we share that within 5 to 10 seconds with everyone else watching it. And so again, you could have 10,000 people viewing your stream, but you're only getting one connection to your live streaming box, and that's coming from Cablecast Reflect. And so this allows us to keep all the libraries of all the VODs of your library on your VOD server, terabytes of storage, and you don't have to delete anything because you can keep it all locally, and only if it's watched will it then be pulled up and delivered to the cloud. And like Daniel said earlier, because we're kind of intelligently caching and not always pushing content to the cloud, it allows us to offer this service for much cheaper. And so now, really quickly, I'm just going to show a couple of sites of customers that are using Reflect. And so you can see our own public site, Tidy TV, is being delivered via Reflect. If you haven't yet, you can submit us some content. We have content from stations all over the country here. And this is the new site that will be delivered in 6.0. You can see it's very uses thumbnails. It works very well on mobile. So as I start to scale down, things will work really well on a phone. I can watch my live stream. I can search for content like my rap video, find a thumbnail of it, watch that show, see when it's going to come up next on the schedule, things like that. And so this is the experience you would see if you were using our public website. But we have other customers that are doing more advanced things using our APIs, and that's totally compatible with Reflect because you can pull in the stream and through the APIs any way you like and embed it into your own site. So Grassroots Community Network out in Colorado just recently built this site. It's really nice, really highlights their content. You can see all their video on demand content, and then they break things down into categories. And so we can go into the web channels and check out, my mouse is a little jumpy here, the education channel. And it's communicating directly with their Cablecast server. It's loading some content. They load everything right away, or like when you ask for it. Some sites that we'll see in a second like do some caching. And so my network seems a little slow here. You can see it pulls up all these results. I can click it, and then it embeds the video on demand right in their site. And it's nice and big. So we can watch this content, we can jump around, queue to it, stuff like that. So another customer using our stuff is Denver Open Media, and they're using mostly our live streaming with Reflect. And they actually recently, just in the past day or two, switched to HD channels. And so if you can go into channel 56 here, we can pull up their live stream. They still haven't updated their embed code. They could make it much bigger than this. But here is their live stream. And you can see their sorry, the audio was blasting in my headphones. You can see their HD stream. They're kind of playing some content that looks like it's scaled down a little bit. But the HD live stream looks really nice, even full screen on my computer. So I think that's all I had to show. So now, so basically that's kind of the end of my presentation. And hopefully, I haven't been able to see them, but hopefully people have been answering some of the questions. Can try to jump in here into the chat. So can I give some cities that are using this now? I'm interested to see the public site in action. Can you compare this to Granicus? And this is from Dave Elvin. So some of those cities that I just mentioned, Denver in Colorado, both of those stations are actually in Colorado. We definitely have about 20 to 30 stations, I believe, with more signing up every day that are using Reflect. You can definitely email Daniel or Steve to get a more complete list. I don't have that available in front of me. As far as Granicus, I'm not too familiar with Granicus. I do know that Granicus had some issues with mobile delivery for a while. I'm not sure if they've fixed those issues. One thing that, we're definitely not competing neck to neck with Granicus right now. The major thing that they offer is their agenda management for live city meetings. And that's something that we're going to be offering in the future, but that isn't currently a part of this this current release. But definitely sign up to our email list because we'll probably be sending something out in the next bit about that. So, is there a direct link to archive.org or Vimeo? And that's from Luis DiLiberto. We're not currently doing any archive.org or Vimeo. There isn't an archive.org, not really related to Reflect at all. But if you github.trms, or no, retype. I do have a project, and Denver Open Media is using this, and there's another station in, I believe, Berkeley Community Media in California, and it's called Media Sherpa. And this is something that will basically upload your content to archive.org from Cablecast, and you just have to not check a box, but like enter a field in your Cablecast install, and this will upload content to archive.org, and then put the archive.org URL back in your Cablecast install. It doesn't really like work with VOD or anything. You would have to do additional work outside of that, but it's a great way to like archive meetings and stuff like that are going to be publicly available, and to upload them to archive.org. I think archive.org is a great resource, and so this is there to upload your content if needed. It takes a little bit of trickery to get installed. If you have any questions, just reach out to me via email. All right, so that question was actually from Steven. He used Lewis's link. Do you have plans to add archive or jump 2 points for the VOD? And that's from Scott Denfield. Well, so as far as the archive, I'm assuming that means that you want to keep the VOD around, you just don't want it publicly available on your site, or maybe not easily available from your site. I'm not sure what the archive for VOD means, because to me a VOD is sort of like an archive. We don't really have anything in that regards, but we do have plans to add indexing points, jump to points, and that should be, I can't give you a real time frame on it, but it is, it's definitely in the roadmap for the near future. Melanie Lombardi asks, we have to have the TRMS live streamer integrated into our system to utilize this. That is correct. The Reflect stuff is all designed to work with the Tightrope hardware, and so you would need to have either like our live streaming to do the live stream, or our video on demand server to do the video on demand. Gavin asked me to tout the OMP for Gov. I'll let Daniel do that, but basically the Denver Open Media Project, they have I don't even know where the website is, and I'm really sorry about that. But basically they have a solution where they can use our Reflect stuff in the back end, and they can add jump to points for your city council meetings, and they can design a really nice site. I believe the Colorado channel. So this is an OMP website for government, and I don't believe the Colorado channel, I believe they're using YouTube as a backend, but this service can be used to use Reflect. So Dave Evan again asked for cities. Can you please discuss how existing stations have configured VOD and live servers with their company network for security issues? Are they putting everything in a DMZ? So that's from David Columbia. So yeah, most stations that are using this are putting the live access points in a DMZ. The one nice thing, as opposed to like other streaming stuff, is this is all using it's all using HTTP over like traditional website file serving. There's no special protocols or anything like that. So you can really lock down the access to it. It only needs to be port HTTP, port 80 or another port. You can choose that, but the default is 80 and HTTP traffic. So you can lock down everything else. And then additionally for security, CloudFront basically acts as a proxy. And the proxy can be configured if you just ask us to use HTTPS. So the traffic will be secure, but also people can't find your public server. Again, it does have to be publicly available, but you can't figure out where the Cablecast server is located, because everything goes through CloudFront if you add that as a service. So it can be traditionally more secure than if you just had our stuff without Reflect. So there is that. And we can do HTTPS for you even if you don't have your an HTTPS certificate. So someone just said thank you. So what is the largest number of simultaneous users that you have logged so far? Tens, hundreds, more? We've definitely, like in our personal logs from our customers, we've definitely had hundreds of users watching the stream. I obviously can't divulge who that is. But we use the same infrastructure that other like Netflix and other big media streaming companies use. So we're basically building our stuff off the infrastructure of Amazon and Microsoft and stuff like that. So it's not a homegrown infrastructure. We're building on really rigorously tested, and we're basically, if Netflix goes down, your Cablecast Reflect might go down too. But if Netflix is working, and even there has been cases where Netflix has gone down, but we haven't. So we do our best. But in theory, it should be able to handle hundreds of thousands of people. So Gavin replied in. OMP Network, so that's their site if you're interested. Again, it's like a design service, and they do some indexing for meetings and stuff that can be built on top of Reflect. So next question I have on my list from Thaddeus is, can the VOD be integrated into an existing website? Yeah, so we have a full API. I can sort of just bring up the /Cablecast API/help. So we have a new API that will be coming out with 6.0. We also have an existing API that's what's powering Tightrope Media and the I can show this site. Where is it? Grassroots TV. They're using our currently API and embedding their VODs into existing their own site. If you have like a more manually maintained site, again, you can just go straight into the video on demand section and find the show and get an embed code. And so you could, if you have a WordPress or a Drupal site that you don't have a developer to do anything for you, you can integrate it with this way, just copy and paste the embed codes into your own site. If you do have someone that can kind of do some additional work for you on the side, there is APIs, so there's some documentation here, and that allows you to build sites like this, where all the data is coming from Cablecast. Here, all these are being served up by Cablecast, but it's just a Drupal site. And it's kind of an ugly site, if I do say so myself. I designed it. And so, yeah, you can definitely make it work with an existing site. It's just be a lot of copy and paste if you don't have someone that can, work with the API for you. But it's it can be really integrated, so the staff facility doesn't have to do any additional work. As soon as something's available on VOD on Cablecast, it can be pushed or pulled into your own website system. Does Reflect replace the Cablecast Pro VOD, the VOD server? And so that's no. So Reflect, again, I kind of mentioned this, and Daniel mentioned this a little bit. Reflect is completely optional. So you can buy our VOD or live streaming server and use them with your own bandwidth. You own it. You never have to pay us another cent for monthly or yearly bandwidth charges. The Reflect service is if you think your station is going to have the next viral video, or you don't really have a lot of bandwidth to offer. You can add Reflect to an existing Pro VOD or live streaming server in order to dramatically increase the amount of connections that you can handle and to lower your bandwidth, the bandwidth that you need to stream. Because you're always going to need, halfway decent bandwidth in order to provide, even if you're doing the traditional model where you're pushing things up. So if you're pushing things up, you still need to have enough bandwidth to push up the original files and the constant live stream. So what Reflect does is it lets you get away with just having that same internet that you need for a traditional provider, but we can reduce the cost because we're not needlessly pushing content that no one's going to watch or that people have watched but aren't going to watch again for 20 years. And we can basically distribute the live stream so that only one connection and tens of thousands of people could watch it on the other end. So I think I've made it through all the questions. If anyone has any more questions, just keep asking them.
We have one more come in.
If no one asks any questions, I'll let we have one more question come in. After we get through these last couple of trickling questions, I'll let Daniel jump back in and or Michelle, and give you a closing. So how can users of VOD watch with their channels, figure out how many viewers are watching their shows to see if Reflect is needed? That's from Melanie Lombardi. So if you're using our VOD, there's not a great way to see if you need Reflect. Usually you'll kind of know. Typically, if you have like a standard internet connection, like a 5 to 15 megabit connection, like standard office internet, essentially, you can handle a handful of people watching your live stream and a handful of people watching VODs, and possibly not at the same time. And when I say handful, I mean like 5 to 10 to 15. It really depends on the quality of your internet connection and when those people are watching. And so if you ever expect that more people, and we all hope that more people are going to be watching our stuff online at that time, then you'll probably need something like Reflect. So if you just have a standard office internet connection, you probably need something to Reflect, not for probably the day-to-day, but like those peak loads. Like, so you just published a council meeting that everyone's going to want to watch because it's a really hot topic, or you're doing a live sports game that is your high school's championship or something like that. You're going to get a lot more traffic, and Reflect really helps so that you can handle those no matter what. As far as gathering the statistics, if you have something like Google Analytics on your website where you've embedded your VOD user stream, gauge by traffic. On my station, when we did the math, and I haven't done it in a while yet, we had Google Analytics, and we also had like I wrote a player that would like basically just do a Google Analytic event if someone clicked play on a stream. And we found about like half the people that visited our website at least loaded up a video and watched it for some amount of seconds. And so if our bandwidth, our analytics was telling us we were getting about 2,000 people a month viewing our site and about 1,000 video views. And I have no idea like when those were coming in or how often, but that's about how much traffic we were getting on our site. And the Reflect definitely helped us because at my station, that's this station right here, ctm5.org. Don't judge me by the website. We definitely need the Reflect because we just have a standard internet connection. And we're not doing live streaming right now, but our VOD, people have been watching it. It's been great. We've never had a problem with people watching our VOD, and we're going to add live streaming soon. So, all right. So I'll let Daniel or Michelle jump back in. And thanks, everyone, for attending.
Hey, thanks, Ray.
I will throw up.
Here, I'll just switch the screen.
That was my personal email. Don't copy that down.
There we go. There's your email.
That's my email address, ray.tiley@trms.com. If anyone has any questions, feel free to shoot me an email.
Thanks, everybody. Again, my name is Daniel. My email is dkrawc@gmail.com, and my phone number is 617-245-1744. If you want to ask questions and don't want to bother Ray, who's actually busy building this stuff, my job is to actually help people who want to buy it. And we do sell through dealers, so of course, if you need help getting connected to your local dealer. And yeah, we're really happy you took the time to join us today. And if you're interested in this product, we'd be happy to answer whatever questions still remain.